We've fenced off all of the little springs that we have here. We only have a couple.
So in 2005 we fenced the spring in and rigged it up with a small solar panel and a pump.
Taree is a sheep and cattle property north of Barcaldine. Bryson and Jen Hawkins own and run Taree, and these landholders are part of a Desert Channels Queensland project to identify how a grazing enterprise can utilise springs while improving their natural values.
We've tried to fence them and protect them as best as we can for the sake of the spring itself and its biodiversity value, I guess you'd say, but also for the sake of the water quality that our cattle will drink.
So we just have a 4-barb fence around it, and the advantage in that is native wildlife can still come in for a drink, but it keeps the cattle out. So before we fenced it, the cattle were pushing the edges of it in, and I suppose in time they were filling it in. So yeah, by keeping the cattle out and letting roos and birds and that still drink out of it, it works well both ways. And it just pumps into a poly tank and feeds one trough there outside the spring enclosure, so that keeps the cattle out of the spring.
Water in the Great Artesian Basin travels very slowly underground across central Australia, often only a few metres per year. This ancient water sometimes emerges at the surface as springs. Due to this constant supply of water, a unique range of native species has evolved. And while the water quality may vary, these springs have become a valuable source of water for pastoral properties in the arid regions of Australia.
Our springs are located out in some of our desert country. There's not a lot of other water sources out there. There's no surface water, and that part of the property is not really in the artesian supply like the rest of the property. So the presence of those springs means that basically we're not having to pipe water from our artesian supply, because it is right on the edge of the artesian basin here.
It's getting close to sort of soft desert country. We got a lot of box and buffel grass out here, so it's quick responding country. Cattle do really well out here. We run cows and calves out here, and yeah, they love this corner of the paddock.
The desert country does respond quite well to low amounts of rainfall, so we can make the most of using the grasses and the forbs and things that grow out in that deserty sort of country. It enables us to utilise an area that otherwise you probably wouldn't be able to utilise. And what we've done is we've put in a solar pump and a tank and trough there. So we're using the solar pump to pump from the spring, so from the main spring. It's a reasonably large one. And the solar pump is a standalone, looks after itself system. We don't need to do too much maintenance on it, and it just pumps it to the tank and fills up the tank when to the point where the float cuts it off, and then it's just going into the one trough there.
It's been pretty good. The water is a little bit harsh on the pump, but it's not a big problem. We put a new kit in the pump every 5 to 6 years, but yeah, that's nothing major. It's a concrete trough, and the water being again harsh, it's eating the concrete away. But we still have got, I think it's about 14 years out of the trough, so the next one we put there will be a poly trough, and we'll get a bit longer out of it, I think. To come here and see like the native birds and stuff watering here, and it's just a nice little spot.